specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
It sounds like you guys are stoned out of your mind. That's what it sounds like.
Well, Sandy, you know me. That may not be factual. I will
there's a pause for a reason here, guys. Bit of a pause for a reason here, you two.
And Jacob Wild, too.
And Sandy, who is not stoned.
All right.
Here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount a spooky selection of Halloween classics.
Don't let Sandy discourage you. I'm going to double down on the Ramses thing. So light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection. Courage the Cowardly Dog, King Ramses' Curse. Ramses!
Man goes.
Return the slab.
Make me an offer.
What's your offer?
Oh man, this is a party. How you guys doing?
Let's try and keep the slab jokes down to a minimum, guys. Those are everywhere.
I know. I'm just gonna have my fun with it while I can in the intro.
Oh, there goes that slab of beef joke just right out the window, man.
Return the slab of beef. It's gone bad.
All right, okay, back. Okay, so what are we here talking about?
Well, obviously, we're here to talk about King Ramses' Curse. Guys, let's not even beat around the bush. We're veterans to talking about courage. We've done a few episodes. Maybe got to talking to John Dilworth at one point. And, we all four of us love the show. We all grew up with it. It's honestly one of my, it's kind of at the top tier of my Cartoon Network shows. I really think it's a masterpiece of television animation in terms of mood, storytelling, atmosphere, and humor. It's top of the line. I mean, we could talk to the face about how much we like this show, and we're here to do another one. Now, Dragon, can you help me out with the itinerary here? I'm trying to remember what episodes we've done. Of course, I think the first episode we covered was Freaky Fred, right?
Yes, we did Freaky Fred.
There was the one with the West Pole.
Yes, well, here's the thing. We've covered Courage before, but in terms of Courage,
the Nutcracker one was for Christmas in July.
That's what I'm saying. We've covered Courage for Christmas in July twice, and then we did Freaky Fred, and technically we kind of covered this one very suitably already with John R. Dilworth in a very brief capacity. More so on another show, but it was kind of a bonus episode within Haunted Holiday Hijinks. It kind of counted, but it kind of didn't. I don't know. It was a little bit of both. Point being,
that's all. Have him on.
It was. Point being, that's pretty much what we've covered so far with Courage, to my recollection.
All right. So, guys, this is a pretty iconic episode. This is the one that everyone talks about. It's kind of a big meme at this point, as Sandy pointed out. So, how do y'all feel about this episode?
Well, I'll go first here. I mean, looking back on this, I just realized this a few hours ago. I realized that this episode is probably one of the top 5 best representations of a Courage episode, just because of how well it represents everything that the show stands for, all the way from the characters to the humor to the scares and the writing. It's a really solid episode, and it's the one everybody remembers, even people who aren't exactly fans of Courage. They remember this episode. Everybody remembers it.
Now, I honestly, personally, if you ask me, I wouldn't place this in my top 5, but maybe top 10 or maybe 20. But I mean, because because I don't really think it represents the horror aspect as well as others do. I mean, it has its moments for sure, and it's more unsettling and like uncanny than it is actually scary. Unlike some other episodes that are outright terrifying. But I mean, I find this episode like more like one of the more funny episodes actually, rather than outright having any scares. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's still a fantastic episode. And I mean, my earliest memory of this was at the end of like a Scooby Doo tape. realizing there was something at the end of it. I wondered what this was, and I think it was actually one of my earliest I don't know if it was like what introduced me to Courage, or it was like, oh, there's a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode on here. I can't remember which one.
Because Cartoon Network just has a thing about scared dogs. They just really do.
I said I just can't remember. I can't remember if this introduced me to Courage, or maybe even it was the Chicken from Outer Space short that was on one of the tapes too.
Oh,
But, so I don't really know, but this is definitely one of my earliest instances of Courage, which makes sense because it's like one of the first episodes. But I still place this as like one of definitely. I mean, I will say it as like it shows how funny this show can be, while also balancing the horror with the humor. Wouldn't place it in my favorites, but I can definitely see where people would say so.
Yeah, I really like this one. This one, and on the revisit, it's been ages since I've revisited this one in particular, because usually I go to the Snowman episodes, because I love the Snowman.
Snowman.
I love Snowman. Anyway, my point is, this one is easily an iconic episode of Courage. It's definitely a fan favorite for sure. I tell you, this one, revisiting it is very much Courage distilled down to like the core basis of the premise. In another life, this would have made an excellent pilot for Courage, because I believe the chicken episode was the pilot. They kind of retooled it for another episode, I think, but originally it was you had the I forget where it debuted. I forget if it debuted in the whole cartoon, or if it was its own thing. But you know what I mean.
I think it was What a Cartoon.
Right. They debuted on one of like kind of the pilot shopping kind of the things Cartoon Network did. Anyway, point being, I could easily see this as like a pilot if you want like to sell what Courage the Cowardly Dog is. I mean, this is very, very solid. All out there by all means, but it's very cool.
Wasn't the actual pilot Night at Cat's Motel?
Well, I know what. Yeah, I think
that was the first episode. It wasn't the pilot though.
Yeah,
well, I mean, like the first episode for the actual series.
Yeah, Sandy's right though. Yeah, it was
because Chicken from Outer Space was the pilot. Technically.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Cat's Motel and Cajun Fox, Cajun Granny Stew.
Really, Cajun Granny Stew was the other one on that?
Yeah, because that made a half hour.
Yeah, you're right. That's weird. That episode does not hold up as well on the read.
Hey, Dragon.
Anyway, yeah.
Return the slab.
Okay.
Do you guys want to get into some backstory in this episode?
Yes. Sure.
Well, hold on.
Wait.
I haven't said my piece on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tiki. I thought you go on, please.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I definitely think I wouldn't place this in like the. I mean, I do think it's in the upper echelon in terms of like pure comedy. I really do think this is one of the funniest episodes of Courage, bar none. And as Sandy said, it kind of distills the characters down, gives you the base premise of the show. I got to be honest with you guys. This episode never even scared me a little bit, even as a kid. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it might get under certain kids' skin and others not. And it never scared me. I just always thought it was kind of funny and weird. Freaky Fred, that scared me. That still scares me.
A man shaves a pancake.
And the funny thing is, Freaky Fred, the stakes are a lot less severe than in this episode.
And I still think that random violin girl's scarier.
Right.
I mean, that's still actually funny looking back on it, but because I rewatched and I laughed more than I was creeped out, but that's still more scary than anything in this episode.
Honestly, I think the best horror that still holds up for Courage is the stuff that's psychological, the stuff like The Mask and Perfect. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff where you can look back and be like, oh my God, like, we're really going into some dark territory here.
Yeah, for an adult, it's definitely probably the scariest stuff. I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
The House of Discontent was also really visually horrifying.
I don't know why, but the puppet one also creeped me out.
Yeah.
God.
You can pretty much do you could like pretty much do like 100 of these haunted holiday hijinks things, and you still wouldn't. You could just do them all based on courage.
Oh, believe me, we're going to do a courage episode every year for haunted holiday hijinks until we run out of courage episodes. Or
I'm not going
panel
to say
gets
the flan
canceled.
episode's going to be the last one, but I'm just saying we might have to run. We're going to run out at a certain point. I don't know.
Well, they're doing another courage series on Boomerang, so we're never going to run out.
Wait, really?
Yeah, John Dilworth's working on it right now with Cartoon.
Wow. Oh yeah, I heard about it. So it's on the new Boomerang Network.
It's coming. It's coming out. I'm not sure when, but he is working on it. He has confirmed that it is happening, and it's a prequel to the series.
Prequel? Huh.
Okay.
You know if it's going to be CG or is it because I remember he's toying around with that?
John, he doesn't. I don't think it is. Anyways.
All right, I'm just saying he did that short with it. But okay, anyway. Okay, so Sandy, rock us with some backstory.
All right, so we talked with John Dilworth a while back, and I think he shared this story with us. So it's very, very simple. I mean, this all basically started when John, they're all looking for new ideas, and he stumbles upon this animated dog, this Parappa the Rapper, if you guys remember that animated dog.
Yes. Oh, I remember Parappa the Rapper very well.
Yeah, he was that.
I gotta believe
the CG animated dog that was made of paper. So he sees this. He sees this somewhere in New York, and it intrigues him because it's 2D animation, or at least it looks like 2D animation, but it's 3D. And so this really sparks his interest. And he ends up getting his brother Jim Dilworth, who sadly passed away right around the time of Courage, to design King Ramses for the series. I don't think they realized how terrifying it was going to be. Although, considering the type of person John is, I guess I wouldn't be that surprised if he knew just how terrifying it was. But anyway, so that's basically the gist of the backstory behind the character of King Ramses. And also, for the longest time, everyone was wondering who voiced King Ramses in the series, and he's not credited, because if you look at the credits of any Courage episode, you'll know that it's basically just a list of names and no character next to said names. And he came out a few years ago and said that he voiced King Ramses himself, so that's pretty cool.
Didn't he?
That's really fun. John Dilworth's been scaring us this entire time. We didn't even know it.
Return the slab.
Oh, and he also did a Facebook video where he said "Return the slab."
Oh yeah,
He got the camera really close to his face and said it into the lens.
Nice.
Return.
Okay.
You can't say "Return the slab" and not say it like King Ramses.
All right, guys. So you want to just hit the beat by beat on this thing?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
What's your offer?
What's your offer?
So episode starts with let's see. So we have this. Basically, we have this helicopter pursuit of these two Egyptian cats who basically robbed the museum.
John Dilworth has a thing with seedy criminal cats, man.
That he does, man. We have these two cat robbers. They're trying to basically they're being
the cat burglars.
Yes,
I think
nice.
That's the gag. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Anyway, so robbers are being pursued by a helicopter. The heat's on them. They want to basically ditch the loot. They'll come back for it later. So they basically stop by a water pump. They kind of dig a hole. They place the slab.
Sorry.
In there. They bury it. Now they get back in the car, but now a sudden fog has appeared.
Oh dear.
And importantly, we don't see the grand, terrifying glory it is quite yet. We're building up a silhouette. Oh, we have this great 2D silhouette. So you have no idea what's coming.
This is probably the most intimidating shot in the whole thing that still stands up.
Yeah.
The silhouette, return the slab, will suffer my curse.
If you think about it, these two guys, these two cat burglars, this probably had to be one of the first deaths in the series that wasn't, done for comic relief.
Yeah, this was early on, so you're probably right.
And this is pretty serious too. I mean, it's not funny. I mean, these guys straight up die.
I
It's
love
gonna-
how this is staged, by the way. I
The
love how-
staging on it is
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
It's just kind of funny how he gave the bags a chance, but he never gave the cats a chance.
Actually, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true now that you think of it. He gives the bags like a few chances.
The real question is how aware is he of the situation? Because he knows these guys directly stole the thing, but the other ones, they just kind of lucked into it, so he's giving him a shot. That's the real question. How much does he know?
Oh, I like that theory. I like that theory.
I mean-
that he's like, go
It's
ahead.
entirely possible.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Anyways, then we have the carnivorous locusts. They appear.
Oh my God.
The locusts appear, man. The freaking locust. And the
But
car
here's
is
the-
gone. Yeah.
And the musical sting that plays whenever they attack is like that. That
hmm
Oh yeah, yeah.
makes it.
So I love how basically we kind of pan away and basically the car is gone. They swarm the car is gone, no one inside. And Sandy's absolutely right. Very, very kind of haunting. It's kind of a haunting thinker of a death. Where like if you're a kid watching, it's like, oh God, they're not there. There's no bodies, implying
Right.
these locusts ate every piece of these guys. They're gone.
I mean, it's left ambiguous, and the fact they probably only allowed to keep that because they panned away.
Precisely. So
I also like how the pan reveals the classic Courage farmhouse. It's like, oh God, this is happening literally right outside our character's doorstep.
that's not just any water pump. So of course, Courage is wondering what's going on outside. Then we get to the next morning where Courage, being a dog, he digs up the slab. He sees, okay, there's some disturbed dirt. I might have kept some stuff here. He digs it up and he finds the slab, brings it on in, as dogs tend to do. Yeah.
So technically, that means this entire episode is Courage's fault.
Well, he didn't put it there in the first place.
I know, but technically he brought it into the house.
That's a fair point. He didn't know Eustace was he didn't know the farm was going to be as stupid as he was. But then again,
Technically, Eustace did throw it out first.
that is a fair point. You're right about that. Point being, Courage always underestimates how greedy and stupid Eustace can be from time to time. He really does.
But the thing is, like, sure, Eustace is greedy, but at least he thinks practical. It's like, because the first thing he says, like, what I'm going to do with $1 million? That's
Hold
right.
on, Jacob. Hold on. You're skipping ahead. Here.
Like,
Hold on.
New
Jacob,
launch.
Jacob.
stop.
Hold on.
Okay,
Don't.
put the break, man. We'll
Yeah.
pace yourself, man. We got a lot of episodes to cover here. Pace yourself, buddy boy.
Yeah, let's get to
We'll
the
get
punchline
there.
when it happens.
Anywho, Courage brings it in. Eustace, we have this great gag where Ymir doesn't know what to make of it. She gives it to Eustace and asking Eustace, what do you make of it? And Eustace has this initially very astute observation here.
Well, judging by the markings and the obvious age of the relic, I'd have to say it would be garbage.
Tosses it out the window.
Garbage, Paulie D.
What?
I'm King Garbage of the Garbage Dynasty.
So then we have.
Sorry, that was literally a Jersey Shore reference. the
Oh
Pauly
man,
D
don't
thing.
bring that.
Yeah, garbage.
Leave that crap on the front lawn, man. Anyway, point being, we have classic Courage style here. We have the TV being turned on, which gives us some handy exposition. So we learn what the deal with the slab is. Pretty much, it was stolen. There, it was $1 million, basically a slab, probably earning him within $1 million.
I like how the total is literally just $1 million. It's totally like a Dr. Evil, like $1 million.
It's kind of crazy when you also think about it too. It's just a piece of the pharaoh's, of the pharaoh's crypt, essentially. Like, the pharaoh's kind of like his big the casket, of the I forget the name for it, but you know what I mean. It's just a piece of the. It's a slab from the giant structure. So again, just a piece of that is worth $1 million. That's a valuable pharaoh.
So then I love this smash edit where Eustace, as soon as he hears the $1 million, he cuts to him grabbing it. I'm rich. And yes, Jacob, tell him what Eustace is going to spend the $1 million on.
New lawn chairs.
New lawn chairs. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jacob. I just wanted the proper setup for that.
And spark plugs.
So, and hopefully he's going to get to a whole list of things, too.
And a light bulb for the attic.
A light bulb for the attic. But yeah, Jacob does make a good point. I really like how practical Eustace is. You got to give him credit there. He's not an indulgent man. I got to tell you, if I had $1 million, like travel, and more travel. first.
So Muriel, basically in this situation, she's arguing the ethics of it all here. Oh, this was stolen, Eustace. You can't keep this for yourself. And and Eustace, very simply, he wants the $1 million. Now, importantly, we see the Ramses markings. The Ramsey markings specifically vanish. Like basically Ramses on the slab. We have basically 4 key images on the slab. Ramses, essentially flood, of Victrola and Locust. All these kind of imprinted, very nicely visually conveyed too. By the way, kind of get a sense of where things are heading, even if we haven't gotten there yet. So of course, Courage is very freaked out by it vanishing. Ooh,
Courage has some great reactions this episode, as he always does.
Courage goes for the mummy warning with his classic pantomime, falls on deaf ears, as it tends to do. And then, here's a weird bit. There's a big, I think it's like a flaw in the animation. Not in the animation, I think it's a flaw in the final edit of the episode here. This is a really noticeably absent edit I never noticed before until visiting this. So Eustace, I'm going to put an ad in the paper basically saying he's ready to sell the thing to whoever wants to buy it, or that he has it, whichever. Point being, he goes to put an ad in the paper, and we just linger. He calls him up, and we just, yes, hello, hello, newspaper. And we just linger on it. Nothing is said. He says, thanks, essentially. Just basically, it's like nothing was said.
What's your take on that, Sandy? Because I noticed that too.
Let me find it. Well, so what does he say again, Shrek?
Essentially, he says something along the lines of, I'm going to put an ad in the paper. He dials him up. He says, hello, national news or whatever it is. And I like to put an ad. And there's enough there. We sit on the image. And then I think what happened is we didn't cut away. I think that's a problem because when we go back, Muriel's then dusting, but there's no edit there. I think we're supposed to cut away from him telling all the information he wants to put in the article. It says, righto, or something along the lines of okay, I put the ad's been put in the paper, but we're missing him describing what he wants said in the ad.
That's really, I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a I guess
just a random gag.
Something they skipped, because if you look at the series in general, you'll notice there's a lot of animation errors, and of course there's definitely plot holes and things like that. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Sure, it's a little noticeable in the rewatch.
At night, Sandy.
Anywho,
gonna haunt my dreams more than Duckworth's ghost.
So there's a knock at the door. There's a knock at the door after the ad's been put in the paper. Relatively fast, by the way.
Yes, very fast. I love how efficient.
That's cartoon logic. No problem there. I'm only pushing the logic when we're just lingering and nothing is said. But again, I'll take what I can get. Anyway, so knock at the door. It's Professor Freth, I believe his name.
I am here to retrieve the slab.
Kind of our classic mustache model for Courage.
I love the design of this guy. You can't see the eyes under the hat.
Very kind of a burly guy, tiny legs, and a big mustache. It's usually
we've recycled like a Yosemite Sam kind of design. It's
kind of like, what if Yosemite Sam worked out? That's kind of what we have going on here.
All right. You see, Eustace, I told you the slab was stolen.
Is that your school-bred voice?
Baby.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Would you like to try the school-bred?
Okay, point being, anyway, so Professor Freth, he basically comes by, wants to retrieve the slab. He's not really offering a reward, but with any $1 million donation, you get a free tote bag. He's pulling the old PBS donation scam.
Can I just say, I don't want to name the museum I worked for, but you guys know what it is.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I noticed about the museum is that the cost of membership was really high and the perks were relatively low. Not as crappy as like a tote bag, like you get invited to like events and stuff, but still very high entry point for the memberships. So I do think that's actually like a real kind of meta commentary gag on the way museums are run.
Obviously, as as Eustace's main concern is, what's your offer? This is landing on deaf ears to Eustace. He's not interested. He's not giving it back. Courage during this scene, by the way, too. I love he's basically kind of putting together that, oh God, just give the slab back. He's mimicking giving the slab back. He mimics a guy vanishing. Then he basically also communicates vanishing by turning into the Titanic with the appropriate music playing, which is one of my favorite details, by the way.
Right.
Playing kind of a sappy version of the Titanic music.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna call out the Addams Family. The sunk my battleship moment.
Yeah.
Okay. The full context of that is Fester is in the bathtub singing the Titanic theme song.
I got it. That's a little funnier.
That is a lot funnier. Yeah. Why do they take the worst stuff for the trailers and pro?
No, that's the thing. Is like literally that gag is probably one of the least funny scenes in the whole trailer. They could have
sunk my
battleship a lot better. Yeah, but it works better in the context because Pugsley and Gomez are playing a game of explosive battleship. So, I don't know. Anyway,
back on point. So it's night. So now night falls. Now night has fallen, and Eustace is raving like a madman about. He's basically on a home improvement kick of all the things he can do with $1 million, which is relatively small.
Rich.
I can get a light bulb for the attic, and I can...
Hold on. I have the list. All
right.
Fly swatter, spark plugs, shovel handle, razor blade, light bulb for the attic.
See, here's what kills me. All right, okay. See, all the things he needs from that list, very minor, very minor. A smaller amount of money would do him far better.
not even a shovel handle.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. With replacement parts, he's not even buying a new. You're right. He's not even buying a new shovel.
I'm glad you pointed that out, Dragon, because like I'm guessing most of that stuff. Like I'm being like conservative when I say that it'd be about $100, maybe. If that, probably closer to like $50.
Exactly. I'm saying, like, here's the thing. It's in retrospect, the museum really should have, like, the professor really should have offered like a small finder's fee instead of the $1 million. Like, Eustace never would have gone for it, I understand, but still, like, that would have solved a lot of problems. We'll offer him, like, I don't know, like $200, you know, for like, well, again, it's a very valuable thing he found. Give him $200, he'll be set for it. Apparently, he'll be set for a few months. Apparently. Anyway, so he's just like a madman raving at all the things he can buy with $1 million. Of course, he has no way of flipping this anyway, because like you get stolen merchandise. It's very iconic stolen merchandise all over the TV.
Right.
Like it's not exactly like you can't exactly melt things down or sell off the jewelry. It's not exactly easy to flip. So you know, the Egyptian market's really big, especially in nowhere.
All right, so someone shows up at the door. And I got to admit, guys, when I was rewatching this, I was literally getting excited. I was like, "Oh boy, this is it! It's coming!"
and glorious CG visage. It's King Ramses.
Hey, guys, I just kind of realized one of the reasons why I think this is why this image of King Ramses is so scary.
Why?
We only see this one wide shot. Whenever we see him, it's always this one wide shot.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
we never get an up-close shot of him.
Yeah,
that is a little disquieting.
Every close-up's been off-screen or in silhouette.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just like this completely barren wasteland, and he's just right there in the middle, pushed back into it with all this fog, and you can't really see what he looks like, but he's moving really strangely, and it's super unsettling.
I wonder if some of that's maybe due to constraint of like, it's kind of early CG. Like, I don't know, we're not really, it's kind of some unfettered territory here. Let's just keep him in one shot.
Honestly, if I were to guess, I think the uncanny quality is intentional.
No, I think it is intentional because remember they have a lot of CG stuff in it, or not a lot, but they have a handful of CG elements in the show, like the "You Are Not Perfect" guy.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's usually the other main example, but again, it's kind of like a floating baby head, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that he's kept at a distance is completely intentional to keep him at a disquieting type of area of the screen.
It would have looked really fake if like the CG creature like walked inside the house, was like right on the front doorstep.
Well, I think like because if we get a wide like a medium shot of like his upper half, I just don't think it would work as well.
Right.
Because he'd be cropping, a big part of him out. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so Ramsey shows up. He kind of gives the signature line: "Return the slab, or suffer my curse."
What's your offer?
So then he warns. Basically, he gives him the old Prince of Egypt treatment here, where he basically gives him the old: "You will be visited by 3 plagues, each worse than the next." And this is ridiculous. What does Eustace think, Sandy?
Oh, I was just going to say, let's not forget what Eustace, the first thing he says, "Hey!"
What cracks me up is how Eustace thinks it's the professor in a dime store costume.
Yeah.
That's what cracks me up.
Dime store costume.
Suddenly, Eustace is Fred from Scooby-Doo. Suddenly, he's like, "Oh yeah, he's a guy in a costume." Certainly.
Oh god. Okay, so we see the flood symbol disappear from the slab, much to Courage's dismay.
It begins to rain in the house, and Muriel has this great response, like, "Courage, did you leave the tub running?" To reveal it's the house is being flooded. They're being flooded all the way to the attic. It looks we've killed the computer, but he'll be fine.
It's like that weird sequence from the Jumanji movie.
Yeah.
Remember that when the house gets flooded? Anyways.
So then we have this ridiculous cartoon.
I like the moose head.
Oh yeah, the moose head just kind
The
of
moose head's great with the just going out of the ears and the mouth.
It's the only episode the moose head is in, I believe.
Really?
I think so.
I could have sworn like it fell in Eustace. Maybe not in the house, but I could have sworn like a moose head fell in the junkyard and during the Nutcracker thing.
Yeah, that was in the junkyard.
You're right though, not in the house. Yeah.
No, but they put a grandfather clock and the moose head in this episode just so the water could come out of them.
Oh, okay. Huh. Nice.
Yeah.
So place floods. So we have this cartoon logic thing of Eustace is wearing a snorkel. He doesn't have scuba gear at all. It's just like a snorkel as he's holding the slab at the bottom.
Clutching the slab like.
For one, I love the logic that the slab is kind of sinking him to the floor. I guess the fact that snorkels don't work that way unless you have an oxygen tank. So, but cartoon logic just for the fun of it. So,
I just love the image. He just looks so determined.
$1 million. I'm rich, even if I'm drowned. I'm rich.
That is Eustace logic. Even if I'm still rich.
All right, so Kurt swims to the basement. He pulls the plug because apparently there's a drain in the basement. There's some
cartoon logic, total cartoon logic.
Some basements do have drains, but let's be honest, big cartoony bathtub plug in the drain. It's for fun.
Come on!
I completely forgot about that. That cracked me up so much. I'm to see him yet again. Just see the visage of this really menacing King Ramses. Oh, come on. My first plague and it failed, man.
All right, so oh my god, this is great. Ramses just goes right back into return the slab. And Eustace is just not fucking phased at all, man. He's just like, what's your offer?
Before anything even happens, before anything else happens, the next plague happens instantly, where we have the King Ramses theme song playing on the Victrola.
Ramses! Oh my god.
This is basically torture they cannot bear. They can't be blocked out with giant...
Make it stop then! Oh no. All right, that's enough.
Ramses. It is kind of catchy. I don't know.
It is catchy. I agree.
Look, it's not maybe it's not the A, maybe it's not an A+ theme song, but you know what? It's a solid B-.
I mean, I think I don't know. You know what? I got to admit that is kind of a gag that's always confused me because it's like I think the gag is that it's just like old-timey music, and old-timey music is terrible, but I mean, Eustace and Muriel are old-timey people. I don't know.
The gag, I think, because this to me is very Courage writing. It's very
okay.
Because it's like of course one of these ancient Egyptian curses is gonna be you're gonna be playing this awful record music until people's ears bleed. Yeah. And I think it's supposed to sound really bad, but not bad enough where we as the audience wouldn't want to listen to it.
Makes sense.
All right, so Courage, he searches the whole farm.
He's just frantically looking for the record player.
He goes for the chicken coop, the water pump, he lifts the truck. He's desperate.
I love the logic that it's literally just playing from a record player, and yet it's just kind of encompassing the whole house.
Just bashes it to heck with a bat.
Yeah, to see this he just pulls out this giant slugger and just annihilates it.
Hey, you got to admit, in retrospect, Ramses' plagues, only one of them is really good, honestly. The other two are just, if someone opens a window, because none of them really got a chance. If they open the window, the water just would have flowed out of the house.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was impossible, but I'm saying they could have done that, and also you just find the record or live with it. One of those two. Well, actually, the next one though is not a joke. The next one though is actually very frightening.
All right, so Ramses,
I guess Ramses. He has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
The warning shots of the plagues,
Ramses kind of just, prompts him once again to return the slab, and Muriel is on Ramses' side at this point. She's like, "Oh, Eustace, what are you waiting for?"
For us to be 6 feet under, and so Eustace accepts $1 million as the lowest he's gonna go. He was hoping for beyond $1 million.
I
with his
love that
offers.
because it's like that's just like classic. Like if you watch Pawn Stars and it's like the guy walks in like, "Oh, I heard this is worth $100,000, so my asking price is $100,000." It's like, no, that's not how flipping retail works.
Yeah. So let's see. So then, I'm sorry. Someone want to take the reins here?
So basically, King Ramses, he sets this last and final curse of the locust on the Bag's household, and the same curse that took the cats in a very unfashionable manner, and things start to get pretty serious. Muriel starts. She flips out. She runs to the kitchen. She's just baking until she drops dead.
I have no idea what's going on there, by the way. I didn't get it then. I still don't get it. Initially on the rewatch, okay, she's logically running out of the house of the locust there. Like, but I forgot about it. It's been years. But the minute I saw it, I was like, oh, brought everything back. Yeah, she's baking up what is she doing? And she's baking like a last meal with the cake. Like, what is she doing?
Probably stress baking.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You run away from the house.
My favorite detail is that when Courage sees this, he's still got like the broken in half baseball bat that he's carrying.
So Eustace, he finally relents. He says, "Oh, okay, you can have it." Courage takes it. He throws it out. Everything seems fine, and then Eustace runs back out. Oh, what was I thinking?
I can't believe I did that.
Grabs the slab, and then we don't see him. But Ramses, he strikes. But importantly, though, Eustace has a final taunt. What is that taunt, Sandy?
And then we get the classic A. He looks at.
Yeah, this whole like, you can't fool me. You're out of plagues. What are you gonna do now?
You can't keep coming around pushing tote bags on me.
One of the great lines. Then the locusts return.
The locusts appear, and Eustace asks what the locust's offer is.
He screams, and we cut away. Really good smash cut too. It's like a cut from like, oh god, like something horrible happened to Eustace, and then we cut away. Now I love only the bottom floor, because again the locusts were kind of having at the house. So only the bottom floor is left. Courage and Muriel just watching TV as we have kind of the epilogue piece kind of playing here as the professor.
Happens in like plenty of Courage episodes.
Does.
So they're just chilling in like a destroyed house.
Oh yeah,
yep. It's upside down sometimes. Sometimes it's subterranean. the whole thing. So let's see. So then we get some expo from the professor. Says the slab's been returned, and it's going to be buried for all time this time around. So then we reveal Muriel's asking him, "Where do you think Eustace's classic Courage ending? Where do you think Eustace is?" And we reveal the tomb of King Ramses, or basically the fully constructed buried thing. Where now the slab's probably been crazy glued back in there. Probably placed back. It points it's back in there. And we now see, instead of Ramses as like the image along with the 3 plagues, it's now Eustace saying, "What's your offer?"
Oh, delightful. All right, guys, final thoughts.
Well, it's I think it's a great episode. I don't think it's the best, but I think it's a perfect representation of a classic Courage episode. It's got everything. It's got the humor. It's got the solid characters. Or the solid display of the characters and what they're all about. And it's got some pretty, if not scary, at least some very thrilling moments within it. So, and it's a good story too. Good writing. Good direction.
Jacob?
No, I wouldn't, but like I said before, I wouldn't really put it in my top list of episodes, but definitely, I mean, like, there are actually very few bad episodes, if any, of this show. So, I mean, it's definitely Definitely higher tier, just not up to like the top 5 or even 10 for me. But still very solid and definitely very memorable.
Yeah, it's kind of again. I'd echo that. It's kind of Courage Distilled to kind of a shortened, kind of simple sell, and that it's kind of like, trouble hits the little house in the middle of nowhere, and it's kind of due to Eustace's greed. There's kind of a nice cautionary tale against greed in a sense. It's kind of also has a really cool mummy theme to it all with King Ramses. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of on a Bubba Hotep kick, so I'm all for that at the moment. It's very memorable to say the least. It's a solid, it's a short, simple, solid one, man.
Yeah, Jacob, I think you're right. I think because Courage that was a show that really is hard to get a bad episode.
Oh yeah.
The worst one I can think of is Courage versus Mega Courage or Mecha Courage or
Mecha Courage, yeah.
Mecha Courage, yeah. That's the worst one I can think.
How do you feel about the dodgeball one? You think that one's bad or?
No, I don't think it's bad. I like it.
Some people aren't crazy about it. That's what I'm
asking. It gets some pretty tough slack, but I honestly I don't have a problem with it. I guess it's more Eustace's character goes a little over the top, and I guess that would be my problem.
Literally goes to the dark side, robe and all.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That's the end of tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks. What's your offer?